To us, you're watching Midday Prime. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and ahead of the Donald Trump's visit, we get you live reportage, the significance of Donald Trump's visit to India and other top stories also that are lined up on this broadcast. First up, here are the headlines. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu addresses the nation on the occasion of a Matribhasha Diwas celebration in Delhi, emphasizes the need to impart mother tongue-based education, also expresses concern over 40% people could not access education in a language they understand. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump to hold talks in Delhi on 25th of February. Issues like strategic partnership in defense, security, counter-terrorism, trade, energy and people-to-people exchanges to be discussed. World's largest cricket stadium in Motera in Ahmedabad to host Namaste Trump event on 24th of February. At least 20 killed and 23 others injured in collision between Kerala government bus and a truck near Avinashi town of Tirupur district. Prime Minister Narendra Modi condoles the death of people in this accident. Indian military aircraft C-17 to fly to China to bring back Indians from COVID-19 hit Wuhan. In Japan, number of Indians tested positive, and aboard a quarantined cruise ship Diamond Princess also rises to 7. Arunachal Pradesh Mizoram celebrate their statehood day today. Prime Minister Modi greets the people of the states on the occasion, also lauds their unwavering commitment to national progress. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to launch Arunachal Pradesh Industrial and Investment Policy 2020 at Itanagar will also flag off sanitation vehicles for all towns in the state. In international news, at least 8 persons reported dead in a drive-by shooting in Hanau in Germany. 5 others seriously injured in twin shooting incidents. Death toll in China's coronavirus climbs to 2,118 with the death of 114 more people reported. Overall confirmed cases cross whopping 74,000. And India will take on New Zealand in the opening test match in Wellington tomorrow. Virat Kohli-led Team India is gearing up for 2-match test series against Kiwis. And US President Donald Trump and the first US First Lady Melania Trump will be on their first visit to India on February 24th at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. From Howdy Modi in Houston to Namaste Trump, the bonhomie between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi will add another leaf to Indo-US ties. India, in its uniquely diverse ways, all set already to welcome the US President Donald Trump and the US First Lady.
राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प भारत में आपका बहुत स्वागत है. डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प भारत देशाనికి स्वागत.
मोहतरम सदर जनाब डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प हिंदुस्तान में आपका खैर मकदम है.
ભારતમાં પધારવા માટે
ડોનાલ્ડ ટ્રમ્પ તમારું ખૂબ
બહુ સ્વાગત છે.
डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प છો ક્યાં લખે બગસીશું.
યુએસ પ્રેસિડેન્ટ ડોનાલ્ડ ટ્રમ્પ આપકા ભારતમાં સ્વાગત है.
હું ઇન્ડિયામાં સર ડોનાલ્ડ ટ્રમ્પને સ્વાગત કરું છું.
डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प
We welcome you to India.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रम्प भारत देशम रे अड़ी रस्कतें आतंकदाराम दीकान.
माननीय प्रेसिडेंट ट्रम्प अपने के भारत में बहुत बहुत स्वागत भाई.
अयना प्रेसिडेंट ट्रम्प इंडिया दा तराम उक्से.
ट्रम्प जी भारत में आपका स्वागत है.
राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प
हिंदुस्तान में आपका खैर मकदम करते हैं.
प्रेसिडेंट ट्रम्प ने इंडिया की आह्वानिస్తున్నాము స్వాగతం పలుకుతున్నాము.
ओ ट्रम्प जी
आपको स्वागत करता है अपना देश.
அமெரிக்க அதிபர் ட்ரம்பை இந்திய மக்கள் அனைவரும் அன்போடு வரவேற்கிறோம்.
भारत देशम रे
मैं अमेरिका राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प
स्वागत करूं ता.
श्रीमान डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प इंडिया देवी
स्वागत है. ডোনাল্ড ট্রাম্প আমাদের ভারতবর্ষে আপনার অনেক অনেক স্বাগতম.
Mr. President, send this Hindustan ke Doris picture as Sari, watch wounded
इस्तिकबाल करार
भारतान तुमका हुनुनीत योगा दिता माननीय राष्ट्रपति ट्रम्प
प्रेसिडेंट डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प
ભારત માં સ્વાગત કરું છું.
वेलकम टू इंडिया डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प। भारत में आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है राष्ट्रपति डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प।
And of course, it is all set to welcome President Donald Trump on the 24th of February. The countdown has already kick-started. Security is being beefed up not only in national capital New Delhi, Ahmedabad and Agra, also across the country as well. India's National Security Guard will maintain the second layer of security for President Trump. Security sweeps are being conducted across all three cities as well. More details in this report.
President of United States Donald Trump will be on a two-day visit to India from February 24th onwards, and one can only imagine the security arrangements for the most powerful leader in the world. Over 200 Secret Services officials have already arrived in India to review the security arrangements in Ahmedabad, Agra and New Delhi. American officials are constantly in touch with senior officials in India. Elaborate security arrangements have been made at Hyderabad House, Rashtrapati Bhavan and Rajghat.
दिल्ली में नेशनल कैपिटल होने के नाते यहाँ पर हर साल हेड्स ऑफ स्टेट्स, हेड्स ऑफ गवर्नमेंट्स विजिट पे आते हैं और इसको हैंडल करने के लिए हमारे एक एक्सक्लूसिव सिक्योरिटी यूनिट है जो ये काम को देखती है, और उसको सपोर्ट करने के लिए डिस्ट्रिक्ट पुलिस भी रहती है और ट्रैफिक यूनिट भी रहता है.
Along with American security officials, National Security Guard, Special Police Guard, Central Reserve Police Forces, as well as Delhi Police will be part of the security arrangements. Apart from this, top cops of the Secret Services will keep a close eye on the President.
हमारा एक स्टैंडर्ड ड्रिल है. जब भी इस तरह का कोई विजिट्स होता है तो हम एक्स्ट्रा फोर्स मोबिलाइज करते हैं उसके लिए, और हम इंश्योर करते हैं कि मैक्सिमम पॉसिबल सिक्योरिटी वगैरह हम अपने तरफ से दें. और ज़्यादातर दिल्ली का जो सिक्योरिटी यूनिट है ऑल अलोंग अभी तक इन्होंने हर साल दे हैव बीन डूइंग एन एक्सीलेंट जॉब. चैलेंजिंग रहता है, एक्स्ट्रा काम रहता है, लेकिन द दिल्ली पुलिस राइजेस टू द ओकेशन एवरी टाइम. एंड आपने देखा भी होगा कि एवरी टाइम व्हेन देयर इज ए डिग्निटरी विजिट वी ऑल मेक प्रॉपर अरेंजमेंट्स.
Traffic will be completely halted on all routes to ensure smooth passage for the Trump convoy. Security personnel will be deployed at all high-rise buildings that will fall on these routes. President Trump and his convoy will be monitored at every step via CCTVs. Mobile networks will be jammed at the event venues and adjoining areas. Extensive security arrangements made for US President are impenetrable. Attention has been paid to the minutest details to ensure his safety. The inner circle of security will be completely handled by the American security forces, while the outer circle will be handled by the NSG, local police and paramilitary forces. Delhi police is experienced and played a similar role when former President Barack Obama came to visit India. India is fully prepared to welcome President Donald Trump. With Neeraj Singh in New Delhi, DD News.
And also, Indian students in the United States play a significant role in boosting people-to-people contact or ties. The US, meanwhile, has recognized and appreciated their contributions in every discipline. An asset to the US, these students contribute to more than $8 billion to its economy. They play an important role in the field of research and innovation as well.
On April 21st, 2005, the House of Representatives of the United States Congress passed a resolution which recognized the contributions of Indian American community to American economic innovation and society. It highlighted the contributions of IIT students in every discipline and stated that through research and innovation, IIT students have played an important role in building ties of mutual support and cooperation.
जो हमारा मुख्य रिलेशन अमेरिका से है वो हमारे एल्यूमनाई का है. कम से कम इस वक्त आईआईटी दिल्ली के मेरे अनुमान से 8 से 10 हज़ार एल्यूमनाई अमेरिका में होंगे, और इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है. कईयों ने बहुत सक्सेसफुल कंपनियां चलाई हैं और ये शुरू से चलाते आए हैं. पिछले कुछ सालों में भी हमारे आईआईटी दिल्ली के एल्यूमनाई ने काफ़ी अच्छी कंपनियां अमेरिका में चलाई हैं जो कि यूनिकॉर्न कहलाती है, जिसका मतलब उनका इवैल्यूएशन $1 बिलियन से ज़्यादा है.
In the recent years, there was a decline in the number of IIT students moving to the United States after graduating. Earlier, nearly 50% of the IIT graduates moved to America for work, but now it has come down to nearly 5 to 10%. However, the research in the field of higher education has seen an upward trend.
काफ़ी प्रोफेसर्स ऐसे हैं जो अमेरिका के प्रोफेसर्स के साथ मिलके अपनी रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, पर एक जगह और हम अमेरिका से काफ़ी योगदान चाहते हैं, वो ये कि जो अमेरिका में जिन लोगों ने पीएचडी खत्म कर ली है, खासकर भारतीय मूल के या दूसरे जो भी नागरिक हैं, हम उनमें से अच्छे नागरिकों को चाहते हैं कि वो आके हमारे यहाँ प्रोफेसर के पद पे आसीन हो.
Collaboration between Indian countries is good. I think both sides usually have things to offer to improve, so I think we should all work together in that to help each other out. India is well known as a wonderful place to study. Some of the best schools in the world, I think, are here in India.
America is still the first choice of Indian students when it comes to studying abroad. More than 2 lakh students are pursuing their higher studies in the United States of America. Every 5th student in America is an Indian. Indian students contribute more than $8 billion to US economy. Clearly, Indian students play a very important role in strengthening not only the people-to-people connect between India and United States, but also ties in various spheres. Nishant Saurav's report, DD India, New Delhi.
And ahead of his first visit to India, US President Donald Trump has said that he believes strongly in Indian arts and culture, adding Indian culture is something very special, nothing like it anywhere in the world.
I've long been an enthusiastic supporter, and I really believe strongly in the Indian fine arts and culture. There's nothing like it probably anywhere in the world. When the Indian groups came to see me at the Taj Mahal, that to me was a great, great tribute to the Taj Mahal. So many Indians are down at the Taj Mahal. It's just a beautiful sight for me to see. I go to Atlantic City a lot. I love the Taj Mahal. I named it the Taj Mahal because I truly respect Indian culture. Indian culture is something very, very special.
And India is all set to welcome President of the United States Donald Trump on February 24th with Namaste Trump. The preparations are in place in Ahmedabad. The colors of Indian culture, diversity will be on display. Maximum display at Motera Cricket Stadium is going to be the epicenter of action. Once inaugurated, the Motera Cricket Stadium will be the largest stadium in the world. We call the largest stadium in the world, and more than 1 lakh have already registered for this particular event, where our Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Trump will jointly address the gathering. Trump will be, remember, on a 2-day visit to India, and first leg of which will be in Ahmedabad. A largest team of reporters there, including Tapish Bhattacharya and Meghna Dev, plus others also gets us more, especially from the Motera. Tapish and Meghna get us these ground reports from the preparations, as far as the preparations and the build-up from the ground is concerned. Take a look.
Cricket is not just a game in India. It is a passion, it is a religion, it is a zeal. And I'm at Gujarat's Motera Stadium, which is going to host the Namaste Trump event. This stadium has been chosen for that because it has become the world's biggest stadium in terms of seating capacity. This stadium can host more than 110,000 people at a one time. And I've got with me my colleague Meghna Dev, who's going to tell you more about this. Meghna, after that Houston Howdy event that saw a lot of people thronging to see Prime Minister Narendra Modi, this is going to be another benchmark that is going to be set.
At the day of the Namaste Trump event, all these bright colors will be filled with spectators of the event, and those spectators would be coming from all across, not only from Gujarat or India, or across the globe. These spectators would be coming, and this stadium will be more than full of its capacity.
All this inspection right now is going on for giving that final touches. Meghna, this is going to be an amazing experience.
It is also going an amalgamation of cultural extravaganza, because to show India's cultural diversity and everything, and this stadium is now going to be a part of history that India is going to make in terms of the American President and Prime Minister Narendra Modi coming up on the same stage in India. And this is for, let me tell you, this is going to be one visit that is going to etch history, not only for India, but also going to etch history for cricket players, because this is going to be at this stadium, which is the world's largest cricket stadium. stadium. So this is very important in that perspective also, and there will be also VIP guests coming in and everything. So once the chapter which begins of this cricket stadium, so it's a golden chapter that has begun.
Let me just tell you that this stadium, actually, if I can tell my cameraman to just show you, pan it out, this stadium, if you take a close look at its infrastructure, its design, its architect, it resembles a lot to the Melbourne cricket ground. And now MCG, in fact, has a seating capacity of close to 90,000 odd. This stadium surpasses that. And this is the key factor. This stadium also has a capacity to host almost 3,000 cars to be precise, and 10,000 two-wheelers. So parking facilities has been ramped up big time. Also, this is connected via it is proposed to be connected via metro. So the connectivity part has been taken care of. I was told that the stadium also has some of the best what you call a water drainage system. So this is very important. If there is any rain that takes place, if that hampers the play at that time, the drainage system is going to take care. So keeping in mind that Namaste Trump event, we will have some of the top-notch cricketers. We have been told that Saurav Ganguly, current BCCI president, along with his Sachin Tendulkar, former cricketing greats, will be coming in this stadium. Also, some of the Gujarat's top-notch players will also be here. So this is going to be an amazing event that we all are looking forward to. With cameraman Sumit Naudiyal, this is Taposh Bhattacharya, TD News, Motera Stadium.
A lot of excitement already building up for that spectacular event at Motera. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Trump will be holding talks on February 25th to deepen cooperation in the number of key sectors, which actually includes defense as well. Specifically talking about defense and security ties between India and US have been on an upswing if we look at the last 6 years. Now the bilateral defense trade has touched $18 billion US dollars in 2019. That is last year, which actually reflects the deepening of defense cooperation, the growing defense cooperation between India and US. And also, let's also talk about how both sides have also been pushing for a joint venture and collaboration between private sectors of two countries, that is India and US, in the defense manufacturing sector. In fact, talking about defense, in June 26, remember, United States had designated India as a major defense partner, quote unquote, intending to actually give a massive boost or perhaps elevate defense, trade and technology ties or sharing with India, between India and US, to a level with that of its closest allies, to take it to the level of its closest allies as well as partners. So big components, we're talking about trade, we're talking about the defense ties, we will also be talking about the diplomatic significance of this, the symbolic significance of this, the optics and the messaging at the time when Donald Trump comes to India amidst palpable excitement that's already on cards, and especially the deliverables that we are looking at pertaining to defense, trade, vis-a-vis other strategic sectors as well. And to talk about various aspects as far as the bilateral talks between India and US, the possible trade deal, there's a lot of buzz about trade deal. Ajay Mishra, our business correspondent, in fact caught up with Rabindranath Sachdev, President Image India. Let's listen in.
The US President Donald Trump will be visiting India on 24th of this month, and what is the current scenario of India-US business, and what can we expect on the front of trade deal between the two countries? I have with us a very special guest, Mr. Rabindranath Sachdev, who is currently the president of Image India, and who was also the co-founder of US-India Political Action Committee in Washington, D.C. Thanks very much, sir. First of all, the protectionism is the new buzzword, so to say, and we are also hearing about the current slowdown in the world economy. So how do you see the how do you assess the current economic situation when Mr. Trump is coming to India for the very first time?
I think it's a huge opportunity. Anytime world leaders meet, and it's an opportunity. I do see is that both leaders will engage. Both will want to create a win-win for their own countries. Trump will want to create a win for himself, which would be that he has increased American exports to India. He has created American jobs in America due to business with India and such matters. India will want, and Prime Minister Modi will work towards that, how can we get American, let's be honest, we need capital and we need technology, right? So to create the jobs that we need. So Modi ji's focus will be how can we, manage to have more investment from America, more technology from America to India, and how to make in India better and bigger.
So what could that be, quantum change be, and can we expect some kind of trade deal?
Of course, there will be some trade deals for defense we need for our national security, coming with technology, which we will be buying from the United States. There could be some deals on oil and LNG exports, again energy security for India. Some of those kind of deals could be there. The idea of a big deal, to my mind, would be something like that how can our both leaders identify some big deal in that sense, that okay, for the long term, let us do this, through which big amounts of American money and technology flows to India. It combines with India's talent, which we have, and our resources.
How do you see this triangle of India, US and China and the trade relation between these three superpowers?
I think this triangle has become even more important now. Neither in negative nor in positive, but just to observe, it's become very important now, and especially given the impact of coronavirus. I'll give you one example within this triangle of how India and US can collaborate in a big picture. One of the biggest problems in America is healthcare and the cost of medicines in the United States, right? India, we are already supplying good amounts of pharmaceuticals to the United States, no doubt. But can there be a big initiative between the United States and India, wherein large US investments come to India, large technology comes into India, we set up large R&D centers in pharma, medical areas, right? And the output of this is consumed by the US. China, of course, supplies to India also. Our pharma industry depends for the APIs from China. But with the coronavirus problems, not only India, China supplies to America also. The prices of medicines or drugs in the United States is already shooting up. So the disruption of China in the pharma chain can be a huge opportunity for India and America to collaborate.
Now we come to the startup ecosystem, which India is boasting that we are second or third, largest ecosystem for startups. And startups in India need capital and technology transfer from US, as you said. So, and there comes the IPR issue, which is one of the core issues within the two countries. So how do you see this patent regime and IPR system? How can India actually push forward its own interest?
Very true. There are two parts to the answer. First is regarding startups and second is intellectual property. See, on the IPR, I'll say yes, we do need some improvements. We need to convince our foreign partners that whatever intellectual property comes to India is safe and we have enough legislation or mechanisms to protect the intellectual property. And also our judicial systems are efficient enough to resolve any disputes, or better, let's say arbitration, right? So there is definitely some homework we have to do also. Okay, now that aside, the startup ecosystem in India definitely has a great synergy with America. We already have a large Indian American community in the United States. What can be done by the American government and Indian government to promote the startups? Here the thought is, what India should push for is strong R&D collaboration. America has some of the world's top labs. You have Bell Labs, Los Alamos Labs, Livermore, whatever, Bell Labs and all, right? Get some of those big research institutions in India in joint ventures. Through those research labs, what outcome comes will help our startup ecosystem grow.
Can we see some of the capital flowing into the Indian infrastructure sector, because we are eyeing actually 105 lakh crore investment in the days to come, and government cannot finance it fully?
Once the relations are growing as they're growing, more and more American companies will be convinced that India is a good partner with America. They will come on their own. That is one. Second, yes, recently, as a counter to the BRI, the China's One Belt, One Road initiative and all, America has realized that in order to counter Chinese influence, especially in the Asia Pacific, it does need money. Like the Chinese government is putting, Japanese is putting. So now American government has started one initiative wherein they are going to allocate, I think, over about $60 or $65 billion for infrastructure in the Asia Pacific region. So we could, put forth that we want for our infrastructure maybe, I don't know, some port projects or rail projects or drinking water, water is an infrastructure, core infrastructure. Pipeline, the pura scheme hai, drinking water, right? Housing. So for such large infrastructure projects, I think we can now approach the United States through this fund that they're setting up.
Thanks very much for talking to DD News, Mr. Sachdeva. So I think the infrastructure, defense, energy and pharma could be the broader areas that could find some kind of deal in this forthcoming visit of President Trump to India.
And for more to understand the larger perspective, let's quickly go across to our colleagues Amritpal Singh. In fact, Amritpal is going to join us in a bit. Amritpal will be joining us in a bit. Joining us from newsroom, yes, he's there. Amritpal joining us, and in fact, Ajay is also going to join us in a bit. Amrit, over to you, especially when we talk about the broader contours of the defense sector. We heard that very comprehensive, conversation that Ajay had. But in defense sector, what are the deliverables that we are looking at, especially coming at a time there's a lot of buzz about trade, much anticipated trade deal, but defense sector is something that India will be, in fact, both countries will be keenly looking forward to, isn't it?
That's right. Sakal, the talks between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump and their delegations, huge delegations, especially the big high-power delegation that President Trump is carrying along with him, right from Washington, D.C., which includes their Treasury Secretary, includes their Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, includes their National Security Advisor, includes their U.S. Trade Representative Lighthizer, his son-in-law Jared Kushner, a very heavyweight delegation of his cabinet that he's carrying along. This is apart from a big business delegation that's also here in India, would be here in India ahead of President Trump's visit. Now, if you look at it, the entire gamut of relationship is being covered. Trade is going to be the mainstay of the talks. Defense, yes, we could expect some deals being inked. In fact, just ahead of President Trump's visit, the Union Cabinet cleared a $3 billion defense purchases for U.S. companies, which includes the MH-60 Romeo naval helicopters and also the additional 6 Apache helicopters. Another deal worth about $3 billion, which includes re-inking of say the heavy-duty 20 armed choppers. Now, if this is any indication, it is that they are trying to take the defense partnership to another level. Yes. I mean, now with these deals signed, you could have the defense trade crossing about $21 billion. So clearly, that is going to be one mainstay of the talks. The other being trade, security in the regional context, also globally, the issue of terrorism. And of course, the optics of the visit, the significance of the visit where President Trump, along with his wife in a standalone visit, which is a very rare thing that President Trump has done over the past 3.5 years of his presidency, flying all the way and back, is a sort of standing behind India, especially at a critical juncture when it came into the international spotlight for, say, the abrogation of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir, or the CAA protests that we saw in India. So clearly, the U.S. president's this visit and the kind of welcome that is being arranged for him at Ahmedabad, at Agra, and then the talks that happen here in Delhi have a lot of significance in terms of sheer optics, which have a strategic significance. In fact, Ajay,
yes.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Go ahead. I think you have. Go ahead, please.
Ajay Mishra, my colleague, is joining with me. Ajay, Sakal wanted to know in terms of trade, what could we expect? Because it's being said that a trade deal, which President Trump himself referred to, said that a trade deal doesn't look likely. But trade, again, the trade talks is going to be a mainstay of the talks between the two delegations.
Absolutely. I think in the short term, India wants the GSP system to be restored, wherein the Indian exports were getting free duty-free treatment in US, and since last year almost 1,900 products are not enjoying that duty-free exports to US. So that's number one. But the tariff on steel and aluminium is more harsh. So to say, aluminium of 10% tariff can be absorbed by the Indian companies, but they are saying, they are complaining about steel, that steel 25% is very harsh, and that can be that should be withdrawn as soon as possible. So restoration of GSP, the reduction of tariffs on steel and aluminium. Going forward, energy is going to be very critical, and energy security is one of the top agenda when it comes to US-India trade relations. So besides defense, we would see, and there is a deal between LNG companies of both the sides. We could see the deal happening this time. But everybody is expecting, can we have a free trade deal between the US and India? And is that the big thing that that Mr. Trump is talking about? So going forward, just like US and China, joined hands for the greater collaboration in terms of investment, in terms of setting up manufacturing facilities. Is India going to be the next big partner for US? That's the key question everybody is waiting for.
Okay.
Also, when it comes to tariffs, it is not just India which says that restore us the general system of preferences where you get off on taxes on tariffs in terms of imports. But the US is crying too, say you imposing very heavy tariffs on them, and they would want you to lower them too.
So agriculture and medical devices are the two sectors that the US is demanding to lower the tariffs and greater access to the Indian markets. Agriculture, I'm not sure whether India is going to bend upon and actually accept the demands of the US side, because we have seen that RCEP not happening just on that front also. But medical devices, there could be a win-win because healthcare is a major issue in US, and we have the capability of producing generic drugs that can be very much beneficial for the pharma companies in US. So there might be some sort of give and take on medical devices, and we have put this budget has put additional duty on medical devices. So we can see some kind of adjustments or collaboration in this area.
So clearly, Sakal, yes. Trade, defense, science and technology, people-to-people connect is going to be a big mainstay of the talks and of the President Trump's this visit to India.
And let's talk a bit more about the startup ecosystem. In fact, you can also get in Ajay there, because startup ecosystem is something, the space that both the countries are keenly looking at, Amrit, and you've been following this for a very long time. Diplomatically speaking, this visit is extremely significant for Donald Trump as well. Expectations from the other side as well.
That's right. Ajay, Sakal is asking that the space of startup ecosystem is something which the two sides would be discussing, and the world would be very keenly watching, especially the private sector, both in India and the United States, would be very closely watching that what forward movement can happen in that.
Yeah, so I have a good news on that front. The cabinet yesterday only, they have decided to ink a new pact on intellectual property rights, and the IPR is very much critical for the startups, so to say, because it's their technology and their branding and their product and services which holds the key for them, and IPR is very important factor for them. So IPR agreement has been cleared by the cabinet. Going forward, I think the new technologies that the US is champion of, and also India is trying to adopt the technologies of the industry 4.0, like blockchain technologies, which can be used in the banking and financial sector in India. Going forward, we can see these kind of technological collaborations between the two countries, and IPI is very important, on which the India and US are both the countries are going to see a very important agreement which the cabinet has cleared yesterday only.
So clearly, Sakal, these important decisions that the cabinet took yesterday, be it on awarding defense contracts, US companies bagging lucrative contracts worth $3 billion, or what Ajay was talking about in the startup ecosystem on intellectual property rights, clearly the indications are that these talks will be, of course, a lot about give and take, but yes, the trajectory is clearly upward.
Finally, Amrit, just to sum it up in this broadcast, there could be a lot of differences still, especially in a space like trade, but we're also largely speaking looking at lot of convergences, closing in some more contracts, if you talk about oil sector, natural gas and much more.
Absolutely. There are divergences. There are places in trade, in tariffs, where the two countries don't see eye to eye in terms of market access. As Ajay was pointing out, that they would want more access in terms of the market in agriculture, which India may not be willing to open up, but pharmaceuticals and medical supplies is something which India could be looking at giving some relaxations. India's concerns about H-1B visas there, India's own concerns about a lot of tariffs being imposed, India wanting, specifically stating that it wants the GSP or the general system of preferences to be restored to it, because it says that it still in some sectors is a developing country and it needs special treatment and it cannot be put at par with, say, manufacturers of the European Union,
yes,
who have a clear advantage in terms of technology over India. But that aside, there are convergences as well,
yes,
be it on issues of terrorism, on counter-terrorism, on dealing with Afghanistan,
right, Amrit,
on issues of climate change, on the way the international work order the world works, and especially terrorism emanating out of Pakistan. Though President Trump in the past has offered to mediate, and India has
yes, that's right,
told President Trump that, well, we are not looking at any third-party mediation, but clearly it does understand India's position on terrorism, and we've seen it support India many times at various international fora, including the UN Security Council.
Yes, and we'll leave it there. Many thanks, Amritpal and Ajay, my colleague, joining us live from Newsroom to put this entire build-up in perspective, Amrit. Thank you so much. Now let's move on and take you ahead with other big stories lined up today. Well, the Matribhasha Diwas will be celebrated tomorrow. The celebrations have, however, begun with Vice President Venkaiah Naidu addressing the nation on the occasion at the main event in national capital. Terming India as a linguistic treasure house, the Vice President said that the medium of instruction should be mandatory in mother tongue at primary and high school level. He has also added that efforts should be made to promote other regional languages as well.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मातृभाषा दिवस का प्रस्ताव बांग्लादेश के द्वारा रखा गया था और यूनेस्को के आम सम्मेलन में इस प्रस्ताव को 1999 में स्वीकार कर लिया। तब से लेकर पूरे विश्व में यह दिवस मनाया जाता है। यह एक ऐसा साधन है जो लोगों को एक साथ लाता है और एक समाज का निर्माण करता है। यह एक सांस्कृतिक संबंध का निर्माण करते हैं।
And Ministry of Human Resource Development, along with educational institutions and language institutions, have been celebrating the Matribhasha Diwas for the past 3 years as well. HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank was also present on the occasion. He said that Matribhasha in fact, it shows us a new way forward and also allows oneself to express aptly. He has added that language breaks and all barriers. Language is something that breaks all barriers, and that there is a need of the hour to preserve and promote around 196 languages which are getting obsolete.
मातृभाषा में जो सीखा है प्रारंभिक समय में वो खूब याद रहता है। जिंदगी के इस पड़ाव पर आने के बाद भी यदि कुछ ज्यादा याद रहता है तो केवल बचपन याद रहता, अपनी भाषा याद रहती है। वही हमेशा आपके जीवन में पलती है, बढ़ती है, आपको बढ़ाती है और आपको नई राह दिखाती है।
In other news, Union Home Minister Amit Shah is in Arunachal Pradesh to attend the 34th Statehood Day function. The Home Minister launched Arunachal Pradesh Industrial and Investment Policy 2020. Besides that, he's also launched a number of projects related to industry and roads and infrastructure development. Addressing a public meeting in Itanagar, Amit Shah said that Article 371 is intact and will never be removed.
एक प्रकार की गलत फहमी फैलाई गई कि धारा 370 के साथ 371 को भी हटा देंगे। मैं आज अरुणाचल के स्थापना दिन और मिजोरम के स्थापना दिन के दिन समग्र नॉर्थ ईस्ट को कहना चाहता हूं कि धारा 371 को कोई हटा नहीं सकता, ना हटाने का किसी की मंशा। इस प्रकार की अफवाहें फैलाकर भारत और नॉर्थ ईस्ट के बीच में अंतर करने का, ये दो हिस्सों, एक ही देश के दो हिस्सों के बीच में अंतर पैदा करने का जो काम करते हैं, इस सभी को मैं कहना चाहता हूं कि आपके प्रयास अब कभी भी सफल नहीं होंगे।
He's also said that over 200 union ministers visited Northeast since 2014, adding that development and welfare of Northeast is the responsibility of the entire nation.
पूर्वोत्तर को हम समग्र दृष्टि से विचार करें तो क्षेत्रवाद और अलगाववाद से ऊपर उठकर डोनर मंत्रालय, एनईसी, एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी, रोस्टर प्रवास और एनईआरएलपी के माध्यम से पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट के विकास में बहुत तेजी से गति लाने का काम नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार ने किया है। और इसी का कारण है कि आज पहले पूर्वोत्तर उग्रवाद, घुसपैठ, ब्लॉकेड्स, ड्रग्स, आर्म ट्रैफिकिंग, भ्रष्टाचार और जातीय तनाव से जाना जाता था, और अब आज हमारा उत्तर पूर्व, हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट कनेक्टिविटी, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, स्पोर्ट्स, एक्ट ईस्ट नीति और जैविक खेती के कारण पूरे विश्व के अंदर जाना जाता है। ये बहुत बड़ा बदलाव हुआ है।
Amit Shah has also assured Arunachal Pradesh that protecting the rights and cultural heritage of 27 tribes and over 120 sub-tribes of the region is the responsibility of the government.
कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट का ये जुड़ाव का कार्यक्रम जो चलाया है मोदी जी ने, उसमें अरुणाचल का अपना एक अलग महत्व है। 27 जनजातियां और 120 से ज्यादा उप जनजातियां यहां पर अरुणाचल की एक प्रकार से एक विशेषता है। मैं आज सबको यहां अरुणाचल वासियों को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि सभी की सभी 27 जनजातियां और 120 उप जनजातियां का अधिकारों की रक्षा करना, आपकी परंपराओं की रक्षा करना और आपकी संस्कृति की रक्षा करना भारत सरकार का न केवल दायित्व है, कर्तव्य मानकर हमें करते रहेंगे और अरुणाचल वासियों को अपनी संस्कृति के साथ और मजबूती से जोड़ने का काम करेंगे।
In other news, the Supreme Court has dismissed a curative petition filed against Ansal brothers, Sushil and Gopal Ansal, who own the Upahar cinema. In a relief for Ansal brothers, the top court refused to reconsider its verdict while hearing the curative plea of the Association for Victims of Upahar Tragedy in Upahar Cinema. By judgment in 2015, the top court had ruled that a penalty of ₹60 crore was adequate punishment for the owners of the movie hall and they were not required to go back to prison. At least 59 people, remember, were killed in 1997 Upahar cinema fire tragedy. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held a very good meeting on Wednesday with his German counterpart Heiko Maas in Berlin and also discussed a range of bilateral and global issues including counter-terrorism, climate change, multilateralism, connectivity and technology among others. Jaishankar thanked German Foreign Minister for his country's strong support for the expanded India-EU cooperation. In fact, earlier, S. Jaishankar also met the German Defense Minister and Economy and Energy Minister and held discussion on wide range of mutual issues. And in Midday Prime, it's time for the news and updates coming in from the world of business. And for Business Prime, Nancy joins us with more. Nancy, good afternoon. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Sakal. Yes, all the business news. Well, let's first talk about the Indian indices that are trading flat with a positive bias today, lifted by buying in the public sector banks and the pharma counters. The BSE Sensex was up 54 points at 41,380 levels. IndusInd Bank and the Tata Steel were the top gainers in the Sensex pack. And on the other hand, Asian Paints, Hindustan Unilever and Nestle India were the top laggards. And expectations are building up on the trade ties being strengthened ahead of US President Donald Trump's visit to India. Now, there could be agreements on pharma, energy and security. And experts believe that agreement in the pharma sector will be very beneficial to both the countries. Well, we got you that bite of the President Image India a short while back of Mr. Ramindranath. They were talking about how, in fact, there could be more benefits for both India and the US as far as strengthening pharma sector is concerned. With that, it's a wrap on the Business Prime. Sakal, it's back to you for the rest of the news.
All right, thank you very much, Nancy, for that quick update coming in from the world of business. And now, from business, let's move on to some world news. First up, news coming in from Germany. A shooting in the western German city of Hanau left at least 8 people dead and many injured. Police are saying that the suspects are currently at large, and the motive behind the incident was not immediately clear. The shooting took place at 2 bars in different parts of the city. The perpetrators reportedly opened fire at the first bar in Hanau's downtown, killing 3 people. They then drove to the neighborhood of Kasseldad and opened fire at the second bar, where 5 people also died. Authorities are now currently looking for the suspects, who are said to have fled the scene. The International Monetary Fund has warned that the coronavirus epidemic has already disrupted economic growth in China, and a further spread to other countries could derail a highly fragile projected recovery in the global economy in 2020. In a note for G20 finance ministers and central bankers, International Monetary Fund has mapped out many risks facing the global economy, including the disease and a renewed spike in US-China trade tensions, as well as climate-related disasters. IMF chief Kristalina Georgieva says the outbreak was a stark reminder of how unforeseen events could threaten a fragile recovery, and urged G20 policymakers to work to reduce other uncertainties linked to trade, climate change and inequality. Finance ministers and central bankers from the top 20 advanced industrialized economies will be gathering in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia this week, still uncertain about the impact of the coronavirus. Well, in Japan, 2 former passengers of the coronavirus wracked Diamond Princess have died today, as fears mount about those who have left the ship after testing negative for the virus. According to local media reports there, a man and a woman in their 80s who had been infected have died, which would be the first fatal cases among the more than 600 on board the cruise ship. Both had underlying conditions and had been taken off the ship on February 11th and 12th before being treated in hospital. The huge vessel moored in Yokohama near Tokyo is easily the biggest coronavirus cluster outside the Chinese epicenter, with 621 positive cases confirmed among the passengers and crew. On Wednesday, 443 passengers disembarked from the ship after testing negative for the COVID-19 virus and not showing symptoms during a 14-day quarantine period. The complete removal of the passengers was expected to take at least 3 days. And it's time for the stories coming in from the world of sports now. And for Sports Prime, Nancy joins us again.
Yes, absolutely. All the sports news this afternoon. Well, Atlanta's Champions League fairy tale continued as they put Valencia to the sword, and the Italian minnows are enjoying their first taste of Europe's elite competition. Now, Atlanta's Champions League debut campaign looks set to continue into the quarterfinals after they thumped Valencia 4-1 to take a commanding lead into the second leg of the last 16 tie. The regular ground not meeting UEFA stadium standards, so they used the San Siro instead. But that had no effect on Atlanta, who scored 4 goals in just over an hour to produce yet another Euro-joint killing. And Tottenham Hotspur are no strangers to Champions League miracles after the exploits in Amsterdam that took them to the last season's final. Now they need another one to overcome 1-0 loss to RB Leipzig in this last 16 tie. Jose Mourinho colourfully claimed Son Heung-min's broken arm had left them weakened. RB Leipzig impressively organized and progressive under 32-year-old coach Julian, the youngest to take charge of a Champions League knockout tie, deserved this victory and more given their domination. If Spurs win, it will be the first time, in fact, that Mourinho has overturned a first leg deficit, having gone on the previous occasions he has trailed in the Champions League. Now, the 2022 Commonwealth Games is considering a left field bid to allow shooting and archery to be staged in India months before the main event in Birmingham. Pressure has already been building on the administrators to reverse their previous decision to drop the sports from the medal program after India threatened to boycott the games. As an alternative, the nation has now offered to host at New Delhi or Chandigarh separate championships for both shooting and archery. David Gravenberg, the Commonwealth Games Federation Chief Executive, will chair a meeting this week when the offer could be agreed in principle.
I also thank the Lordship and team for their support in the UK Parliament for the inclusion of shooting and archery in the upcoming Commonwealth Games 2020 in Birmingham. So now once that is agreed, how to conduct, where to conduct, that is a matter to be decided by the Games Committee.
We have a fairly good chance of it coming through, and it's not a question of how one feels. It is essential to ensure, it is our duty to ensure the continuation of one's sport worldwide, including within the Commonwealth. So it is a very important sport, fourth most popular sport, so therefore it's a good thing.
And with that, it's a wrap on the Sports Prime this afternoon. Sakal, it's back to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for joining us. And now it's time for our next segment, that's Life Prime, where we bring you the stories from the world of cinema, art, culture, fashion, science, innovation and much more. These are the stories that bring smile, the stories that are changing lives. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar inaugurated the India Pavilion at 70th Berlin International Film Festival. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, in collaboration with the Confederation of Indian Industries, participating in the 70th Berlin.
No drama, just quality film seems to be the watchword as the Berlin Film Festival opens with subtle inaugural celebrations for its 70th anniversary edition. This year in Berlin, 3 Indian feature films as well as 1 short documentary film have been selected. Pushpendra Singh's Laila Aur Saat Geet, Pratik Path's Iboale O, Akshay Indikar's Talpuram, Chronicle of Space are part of the Panorama section, and Ekta Mittal's Gumnam Din has been selected in the short documentary category. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar held Indian cinema's flag high while inaugurating the Indian Pavilion at the Berlin International Film Festival.
If filmmakers from across the world, especially from Germany, could come to India for their films. We have established, I believe, a single window for processing film shooting, and with one film visa, we deal with different locales and ambiences. Now, we have co-production agreements with many countries, but Germany is a very notable country there, and we intend to offer incentives for shooting in India.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also released the poster of the International Film Festival of India 2020. India seeks to promote its film across linguistic, cultural and regional diversity. It aims at establishing multiple international collaborations in the space of distribution, production, filming in India and script development technology through its participation at Berlinale 2020. The 2020 edition of Berlin International Film Festival offers a total of 342 films screening in 9 different categories. 18 films will be competing for the prestigious Golden and Silver Bears, including Berlin's hometown favorite, Berlin Alexanderplatz, and Iranian drama There Is No Evil. Bureau Report, DD News.
Well, Tunisian blacksmith Mohamed Trayati has been wielding steel pieces to create elaborate works of art. The 53-year-old blacksmith started working when he was just 13. With his growing passion, which pushed him to create large sculptures of animals and humans, furniture, doors and small gifts. He uses metal pieces discarded by mechanics and recycles these pieces from old cars and bikes once driven by his clients. And after wielding the metal pieces together, Trayati gives them a final colorful splash. His fame extends well beyond his small town, with customers all the way from Germany, France, Italy as well as Belgium. Well, a Russian farmer shared a very dramatic footage on social media showing the rescue of 11 female horses that became trapped in an ice hole on a river in Russia's South Ural's Bishirkia region. The video shows a group of farmers rushing to drag the horses out with ropes one by one using a mechanical loader. The farmer later says all the horses were successfully saved and did not sustain any injuries. He's also warned others, especially farmers and fishermen, to be careful around rivers and lakes, adding that the relatively warm winter has caused the ice to be very unstable in many regions of Russia. And that's all in this edition of Midday Prime. Thank you so much for tuning in. Namaskar.